Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk. Welcome back, guys. Happy, I believe it is Tuesday. I just finished the Staghound. The Staghound Mark III, as the British called it. It's a Tier 6 medium tank, unlike the French wheeled tanks. This one has wheels. Some of you wouldn't call them tanks. They're not. They're armored cars, I think, but in any event, a wheeled tank in World of Tanks. It's actually classified as a medium tank, not a light tank like the French tanks, and it does not defy physics, not as much anyway as the French wheeled tank. So it's quite a bit more sluggish. Remember, the French tanks, wheeled vehicles, that's what you want to call them, are light tanks, and these are mediums, so they tend to be more sluggish. This is a tank that just did better than its stats would indicate, and then better than the way the tank actually feels, at least to me, in the game. So I did all right with it, 62%. Granted, it's a Tier 6. I'm going to see mid to lower tiers more often with a Tier 6, obviously. So how did we set this thing up? We had a turbo in the turbo bonus slot. Tier 6 does get the bonus slot with the field mods. I used optics, actually, and a vent, and I don't think I ever set up a second loadout. I didn't. So you could kind of switch this up a little bit, make a bit of a spotting setup for those maps like Malinovka or Proc or something like that, where you could aid in the spotting, although you're not a light tank. And then switch to, say, a combat setup. This is sort of a tweener, maybe leaning a little more heavily into the scout action. I liked the turbo because, like I said, it has a good top speed, but it is just kind of sluggish. It's still a bit sluggish even with the turbo, but I did like the turbo. At Tier 6, I'm not using as much of the bounty equipment and stuff like that, so I just use regular equipment. Field mods wise, I don't think I did much of anything with it. No, well, I did actually. I grabbed +4 traverse. That's right, I forgot about that. I did that because the whole traverse is so miserable on this thing. Turret is okay, but the whole traverse. I am suffering, though, a lot of extra damage to the engine and speed and dispersion if I have damage from that stuff. So, bit of a trade-off. I didn't bother with these others, aiming stuff or with the concealment stuff. Its camo is okay-ish, I would say. I was running a couple large kits. I did run the pudding and tea. How did I do? 2% win rate in 100 battles, 1.55 damage, 2.57 destruction. Very mobile, mid to late game, can get around and take out near deads pretty well. Even though it is a bit of a low alpha pew pew kind of gun, it does fire quickly. Almost 1,000 damage per game, 389 assistance. I had a 2,500 damage game in it and a 5 kill game. Unsure of whether those are the same things. Or the same game. I did end up 2-marking it, still above 85%. Did that a few games before 100, I would say. This one's been sitting at 90-odd battles for a while because the Battle Pass, I had maxed out the Battle Pass points, so it was waiting. I finished it. Now that the Holiday Ops 2024 are starting to kick off, or really 2025 is the way Wargaming does it, even though right now it's still 2024 in December. And finished it up 100 battles, and I liked it more than its stats would indicate. I have one game for us to take a look at, kind of show some of the strengths of the little Staghound here, and then I shall put this tank away, probably never to play it again. But let's take a look at some gameplay. So I did take a look at how this thing has been doing globally. It's in the bottom third of the stats, so I'm not here to tell you that this is a fantastic tank in the game in terms of capability. I did well. I'm actually with a plus win rate differential on it of +2% over my 58% lifetime average deal right there. It does, in the stats, show, at least on NA, a minus 0.21, so it's right around even as far as the win rate differential of your win rate and how people doing it on average. On this game, we're here on Live Oaks, and where we spawned into the northeast right there. It's called the Staghound. I kind of felt like a lot of times if I could get this to the mid to late game with its mobility. I know I say that a lot, and I'll be moving this thing while I'm talking here. I say that a lot, obviously, because it's true. It doesn't matter what tank it is. If you can get it to the mid to late game, then you're going to do well. But when you've got a tank with mobility, which this one does, your light tanks, your medium tanks, your faster heavies, that kind of stuff, etc., etc., when you get to the mid to late game and you have mobility, then you can do a lot of things. So, like I said, it's named the Staghound, and in a decent situation for it, it can actually do pretty well. We're here in a 3-tier battle, actually. I'm bottom tier on this one. So the last thing you want to do with this, especially bottom tier or any tank, is get out there and start brawling with things immediately. So I'm going to take up a position here. They lose their AMD real early. That's nice for us. And we have a lot of small tanks going this way. I'm going to hang out here because I'm not that interested in getting as far forward as the FSV. Although what they do for me and for the team is show that the enemy team just hasn't pushed in here. The enemy team's already made a huge mistake in not contesting this area, so they're going to lose a lot of their map control right here. You do have to be careful. There are tier 8s. Big kids like that right there. Barely sneak a shot. A nice 122 alpha hit on the Su-130. He could maul some people. It's too bad for him. He doesn't have any help, and I can tell that he's feeling the pressure because he's spinning and running, right? You saw his whole turn, and he's not interested in sitting there. He sees so many of these guys coming. That indicates to me that he doesn't have a lot of friends. Sometimes when people make moves like that, it's sort of telegraphing, and now we're just hanging out here. The accuracy on the gun is decent, not amazing. We're getting some long-range shots here, hurting the Cheeto SP. He's getting tracked. He has so many people shooting at him, and so many of these guys have small, fast-firing guns. Now he's just perma-tracked from me and other guys. Let's see if we can get this guy dead. Maybe there we go. Somebody shoots him while dark. A great start for the team. They've lost their Staghound, a Cheeto, the Brass camped. That didn't help them. So we're going to take advantage of it with the mobility of this tank here in just a minute. Right now we're just taking advantage of the shooting gallery, and honestly, it doesn't matter what tank you're driving. If you're forward and this kind of thing's happening, you're going to be getting some damage, or at least you're going to be getting shots. So we'll push on in here. Got a T-29. This is a bit of a bummer for the enemy team, one of their big tanks, and this is a bummer for me. Armor not hit. Armor not hit. Armor not penetrated. There's 1 damage out of 4. Armor not hit. I must have been hitting low into the tracks, so there was nothing behind when I hit. There was no hitbox back there, and now we'll push on in here. The enemy team is not completely out of it. They seem to be doing a decent job in town. At least they haven't been completely destroyed in town. But down goes their T-25, so they're really hurting. Everything back behind them here is small stuff, minus the Forest Spirit. The Forest Spirit has a huge game, by the way. He's smart enough to move forward and get as much damage as possible. But we're bottom tier, so I'll take it. We're at 921 damage. We've got 1 kill. Nice mobility to push on in here and find some more shots on these guys. We missed that one. He sneaks around the corner. I'm lit. I don't want to sit here for too long. There we go. So we'll move on out of here. Got a little spotting damage on that, 306 on the M6. You can see that our town guys are starting to die. And this is one of those situations where the game can start turning on you. Because we kind of, as we pushed around that flank, we were winning this flank and the other flank was holding. I don't think this was necessarily a game where I needed to swing back the other way. I don't think that would have helped us out too much. But my setup here is all goobered up, fellers. It's all goobered up. You couldn't see the map. So I don't think going back was going to be that big of a help. So I continued to push, but now we're starting to kind of spread out, right? And if the enemy team can take out some of our guys as we're not concentrated as much, starting with cleaning up our heavies and then turning on the few dudes who are pushing in there, they might start to even this thing up. In fact, it's 7-6 right now. So not a bad situation at all for them. So I'm going to find this dude. We'll put a shot into him. Maybe he'll come out. There we go. Ooh, ooh. Oh, armor not hit. All right. If I could have refrained from moving. Now, I don't want to go push in there. They just cleaned everybody up. There's an AT-8. He takes a shot, so I don't want to sit there and stand in on an AT-8. I will lose that fight quickly. And we finally did clean up back at their cap, but there's where our Scorpion is. It's where our EZ-8 is, and now we're kind of spread out. It's a good situation in terms of crossfire. It's not a good situation in terms of strength in any one spot. So now I'm going to switch. I'm going to swing a little bit to more of a spotting situation. We'll keep this guy lit. And I might take a shot at his turret thing right there and bounce, of course. It's no good. I figured I'd get spotted, but I didn't, so that's nice. The enemy team, well, actually that was our team, has set up this little sniper hill decently for me. So we'll pop up here and see what we can do. He's taking a blind shot, I think, into where I am. We'll back out. Oop, that was a nice shot by him, but he missed. Seeing the Oni, we'll push on up here. See if we can get a shot on him. Good, we close him out. That did get me spotted. Let's back down, but the AT-8 died, so that's good. And now we've cleaned them up, so we got enough crossfires in there, and they were stupid enough to push out into the open. The Oni. Story as old as time, my friends. Story as old as time. If people had just turned around. And we'll push on in here. Now, on this last move right here, we got 1,100 damage, 306 assists. We got a couple kills. I know there's two guys sitting in there unless they've moved apart. I kind of doubt it. I'm going to make a little decision as I come in here because as I come around this corner, I'm just planning on getting a shot if I can. And I see both of them, and then I notice that the 5916 has low hit points. So we're going to auto-aim him and shoot him, and we're going to try to ram the 5916. Let's see how it goes. I take a hit. I get the kill. Absolutely fantastic. So we ram the 5916. We're auto-aimed onto the M6. We continue to take shots on that guy, and boom. All right. Not quite enough to kill him on that last shot. Nice high roll, though. It was a 128, I think. What do we got? A 110? 125, so three hit point high roll. And we end up with 3 kills out of this, 1,732 damage and 306. Now, how is it that I can actually get behind the mini-map? Oh, that's the edge of my screen. Okay, never mind. It just happens to be right on the edge of the mini-map. I was trying to figure out how that would work with the sources that are overlaid, but that's actually just the edge of my screen. All right, how we doing? How we doing, fellas? I should have set this up. It was bad. Oh yeah, look at this. It's all jacked up. I don't know, man. I can disappear. Look at that. Just gone. I'm just gone. Just gone. Staghound Mark III, British, medium, tier 6. I think personally it's better than its stats indicate, but that may have a little bit to do with being a decent player and being able to use the mobility. Also, being able to stay out of trouble early. I learned that pretty early with this tank. Early on, I was treating it more like a scout, where I might get well more forward and rely on my camo. Look at its camo, guys. It's just not that great. Even for a relatively small medium, it's actually not that great. And it doesn't carry it while moving like a light tank does. So be really careful. It's not a light tank. Be careful with your initial positioning and how you stay alive and keeping your hit points, and then you can actually contribute in games like this. This game, obviously, I was able to follow up a very aggressive team and a bad deployment by the purple team. That helped us clearly. But if you have a mobile tank like this, a Staghound that can run things down, then you can leverage that strength in these kinds of games and come up with a decent result out of it. That is all I've got for this Tuesday. You guys have a fantastic one, and we will see you. I got to fix this thing.